What's up, guys, and welcome to another video. This week, what I wanted to do is because the decision has kind of been handed down that I'm going to be playing my mage now. It just makes more sense for our raid team. So what I wanted to do was obviously I'll still be doing druid videos. Okay, I'll still be doing those. I'll still be doing your raid guides and everything else. It just might not be from a Wrestler Druid's perspective, but I will keep all that stuff up to date for you. But I decided that, I'll just add another class. So what I wanted to do was just kind of go over a quick video for any of you PVE Frost Mages out there, because everything that I've kind of researched on YouTube, there's not really like a real comprehensive guide that really kind of explains stuff the way that, kind of the way that it makes more sense. And I've seen a couple guides that are okay, but like I said, there's just a couple things that maybe aren't explained properly or maybe just aren't worded right. So what I kind of wanted to do is just give you a quick rundown of everything that the Frost Mage brings to the table in a PvE raiding environment, because this is honestly it's the most fun I've had playing this game in a long time, guys. If you don't have a mage, I recommend trying it out. It is just such a sweet class. So the first things that I wanted to go over with you are what exactly makes a Frost Mage worthwhile to have in raid. Okay, the greatest thing about a Frost Mage is they literally can cope with any situation that you give them. There is not a situation that a Frost Mage cannot handle and handle better than most other classes, whether that be AoE, single target DPS, crowd control, I mean, literally, burst damage. Any aspect of a PvE raider, even movement, the Frost Mage can accommodate for it. Okay, I'm not kidding you. Literally, everything is at the top notch. Like Blizzard, whoever did mages needs a hug, needs to be praised, needs a promotion, because the Frost Mage is absolutely incredible. So I want to quick go over everything with you guys, okay? And we're going to start with Glyphs. Okay, Glyphs are the minor glyphs. Again, there's literally none that you need to worry about except for momentum. Momentum is the only one that I really enjoy. What momentum does, it allows you to blink in the direction you are moving, not the direction you're facing. This makes getting out of stuff, moving to bubbles and force and verve, moving to anything that you need to do, getting to your spark, getting away from ads, getting away from bosses, anything you need to do. This makes life a little bit easier for you. This is a great glyph. Other than that, guys, it doesn't really matter. You can take whatever makes you happy. There isn't really one that matters. As far as major glyphs goes, we have a ton of choice, guys. We really do. There's not like a huge DPS increase on an overall scale that says, well, for every fight you should have this one. Okay, it's actually per fight. So what I'm showing you right now is just kind of a general build. Don't take these for what they're worth. They're just literally in there to placehold at this moment. If you need to do AoE and you know you're going to have more than 4 mobs, like if you're doing dungeon grinds, Arcane Explosion is a great glyph. It makes that radius 5 yards longer. It's just a really nice glyph to have, and I really think that it really will help your DPS. Arcane powers for Arcane, armors we don't need for PvE, combustion is fire. Cone of Cold increases the damage of Cone of Cold by 200%. Again, this is going to be somewhat of an AoE thing, but it's mainly going to be for PvP. I don't see a real use for this glyph, so don't really worry about it, guys. You probably won't use it much. Glyph of Deep Freeze takes Deep Freeze off the global cooldown. Excellent if you need to quickly freeze a mob in place. For instance, on Imperial Vizier Zorlok, if you have a mind control target who's chasing you, having this ability is nice. Again, not essential. I would pick other things, but it is useful. Evocation, what this one does is obviously it will heal you back as you evocate. If you have Invocation in your level 90 spells, it will heal you 40% at the end. This glyph is awesome. You will be using this glyph, subbing this glyph in and out. Real quick, I'm going to take a quick break and just let you guys know, as a Frost Mage, you need to always have Tomes of the Clear Mind on you. You need to always be able to switch your talents in between fights, especially in raiding environment, because I guarantee you what works for one fight will not be optimal for the next. There are so many different things between your glyphs and your talents. You need to get used to every single one of them, okay? But back to it. Glyph of Fire Blast will make your Living Bomb It will spread your living bomb, and it will also cause your frost bomb to instantly explode. I like this just because it's nice for AoE. It spreads everything quickly. It's a good thing to have. I recommend using it. Frostfire Bolt reduces the cast time of your Frostfire Bolt. We don't need this in PvE because we don't cast Frostfire Bolts unless we get a Brain Freeze proc. Okay. Ice Lance allows your Ice Lance to cleave. This is a huge, huge benefit of an ability on fights like Stone Guards, on fights like Imperial Vizier, on fights like Garishal, Elegon. There's a lot of fights where having this cleave damage is essential. Like, it really does boost your DPS just tenfold having this glyph, especially when we get our 2-piece bonus, guys. If you don't have it yet like me and you're excited about it, it makes your Ice Lance hit harder, which is going to make this glyph even better. So keep this glyph for any fight that is not just solely single target. If there's any kind of ad phase like Garishal, when you go down into the Shadow Realm, get your freeze up and you start blasting Ice Lances, guys, those ads go down quick and easy. I'm telling you, this is a good glyph to have. Polymorph, again, not extremely useful for PvE unless you're really doing a lot of CC, but you shouldn't need it with the Frost Mage. You have enough already. Spell Steal, don't worry about. You're not going to use it enough for it to matter. Water Elemental, this is a nice one because it keeps your elemental moving with you. The nice thing about this is he can cast with you on the move, so he's never out of range when his freeze ability is off cooldown, making your life a lot easier to make sure that you're using those to the utmost of your ability. Blink's a good one to have also. Increases the distance you can blink by 5 yards, which really does help on some fights. Counterspell, again, takes it, increases the cooldown, but you can be cast while channeling anything else, so you're not losing DPS to interrupt. So this can be useful, but again, in a PvE situation, probably not optimal. Frost Nova, we don't care. Ice Block is really not that big of a deal either. This is the other one, guys, is Icy Veins for Frost. A lot of people tell you to use this glyph to a certain point. It just makes it that when you're doing Icy Veins, that your abilities are split into 3 smaller ones instead of increasing your spell casting speed, but they gain more damage. So you're doing 20% more damage with your abilities, but you're not casting them as fast. So there is a haste breakpoint involved with this. I'm not going to get into the logistics, but this is a good glyph to have, to check out and to mess with. And I recommend doing some research on this glyph and finding out if it's going to be right for your play style. Okay, for me right now, I'm not using it because most of the time I'm moving a lot and I don't get the full benefit out of it as I should. So that's why I'm not using this as of right now. But I have been testing it on some PTR stuff, and I really do like it. So I'll probably end up using this in live as well. But again, guys, the nice thing about this, the rest of these don't matter. But the nice thing about the glyphs, guys, is there's a lot of them. And there's a lot of them that we can use in different situations depending on what we need to do, which is one of the first reasons that makes the Frost Mage able to cope with everything. Talents. This is the talent section of the video. What I really like about the talents of the Frost Mage is you literally get every option available. Anything that you need, you pretty much get. So the first tier, if you don't have to move, having that presence of mind making your spells instant cast, or making your next spell instant cast, is really, really nice to have. Okay? It's a sweet, sweet talent to take if you don't have to move. If you just have to move a little bit, like occasionally, Ice Flows allows your next 2 mage spells to be cast while moving. So you can cast 2 Frost Bolts, you can cast a Frost Bomb and a Frost Bolt, you can cast whatever you want, and you can cast it while moving. If you have to move a ton, Scorch. You can cast this at any time while moving. I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest lines of talents that we have because it literally allows you to cope with any fight based on the amount of movement. You're not going to lose DPS based on the amount of movement because you have a spell that you can use for every single fight. And I'm telling you guys, it makes a huge, huge difference. The level 30 talents are really, really cool. Temporal Shield is a quick heal, or is a quick shield, and then has a heal effect attached to it. Usable in a lot of instances if you time it right. It's not on the global cooldown, which makes it also extremely useful, but you really need to get used to how it works and when to use it in order for you to optimally get use out of it. Blazing Speed. until they fix it in 5.1, they're messing with this and they're changing the way it works. So until 5.1, you probably won't use this in a PVE situation. Ice Barrier is the most commonly used one just because it's a massive absorb shield. It is on the global cooldown, but it's up every 25 seconds, and it really does help your healers out a ton to be able to cast this during any big damage phases. For instance, on Elegon during an Annihilate, it's huge. On Imperial Vizier Zorlok during the Force and Verve, it's super nice to be able to pop this for your healers. During Blade Lord Tylak, if you're using, during your Tornado when you go in there, it really, really helps. I'm telling you guys, all these spells really, really help. And then your 45 level talents are all CCs. Again, depending on the fight, which one are you going to use? Do I need to silence and freeze somebody in place? Do I need to put on the tank so that if he gets attacked, everything is frozen around him? Do I need a Ring of Frost so I can freeze ads? There's a million different scenarios where each one of these can be useful, guys. And this is another talent that a lot of people just overlook. But changing these talents up during particular fights is key. Like during Will of the Emperor, Ring of Frost is awesome. Being able to keep those Ragers frozen while you're burning down the strength so that they're not causing extra raid damage is huge. It's amazing. I'm telling you guys, every single row of talents for the Mage is amazing. It really is. You will really enjoy it. And as long as you learn how each one works, the utilities, it will really, really help your game. The level 60 talents, Greater Invis, really nice for mitigating some damage. Not really useful in PvE compared to your other choice. Cauterize is by far the most popular choice because it literally will save you from death. Once you realize that you just got cauterized, a lot of people have a macro that says cauterizing, heal me up. What this does, it allows you to die. It'll bring your health back up. You can then ice block to mitigate the damage. You can yell at your healers, say, hey, I just cauterized, make sure I'm getting a big heal. Anything you need to do, but it's a death saver. It really is. Cold Snap, really good for CC fights. So a fight like Will of the Emperor, really nice to have this talent because you can reset all of your CCs pretty much and keep everything sold, keep everything frozen in place, keep everything stunned. Really nice glyph to have. Or a really nice talent to take for that particular fight. There's not really a whole lot of other ones. Again, Cauterize is really the main winner here. But again, make sure that you understand the utility of each one. This row, pretty much Living Bomb and Frost Bomb are the two that we care about as a Frost Mage. I really like Frost Bomb just because it allows me to, with the Glyph of Fire Blast, I can explode it when I need to. So if there's a certain phase where I need to burst down something, I can do it. If there's a certain phase where I need to do a ton of AoE in a really quick time, I can do that. Living Bomb, also same thing with the Glyph of Fire Blast, kind of does the same, or with Fire Blast does kind of the same thing, but it's more of a damage over time effect. If you get Light of the Cosmos, this is just a quick side note, which is the trinket off Elegon, Living Bomb then becomes your #1 spell because that's what procs it. Frost Bomb is not a dot. Living Bomb is. So if you're using Living Bomb, make sure that you're using it properly, okay? Level 90 talents, they're being changed hugely in 5.1. Right now, this is the biggest gripe that mages have is their level 90 talents because of just the finicky way that they work. Invocation, I believe, is the best choice because you can cast it before the fight starts during your pre-pull, and you can get it so that you're doing that damage right off the bat with your burst and everything else. You can then time it throughout the fight to try to up your uptime on that. If you don't need to move a lot, Rune of Power may be better, but if you do have a lot of movement that you need to do, watch out for that. Incanter's Ward, again, is really nice if you can keep it where you're supposed to be. If you can make the most out of that damage. The problem is if there's not a lot of raid damage going out, this becomes crap. If there's a ton of raid damage and AoE damage going out the entire fight, this one wins hands down. Again, guys, another thing that shows us that as a Frost Mage, I can cope with every situation. Now, I use Invocation on 99% of the fights just because I'm used to it. I've figured out when I can cast it, when I can't, and until 5.1 comes out, we don't really know exactly what's going to be happening with this. So just keep your eye out on this right now, but as of current content, I believe Invocation is probably the overall winner. So we covered Glyphs, we covered talents. Let's cover DPS cooldown stacks, okay? We have a couple of them. Obviously, we have Time Warp, okay? That's going to be... obviously we all know what that is. It's heroism. It's a good spell. It's a GG spell. We want to pop that when the raid says that's not our own personal cooldown. For personal DPS cooldowns, we have Alter Time. What this does is it tracks your health, your mana, your location, your buffs, and your debuffs. And then when you cast it the second time, or after 6 seconds when it expires, it will return you to that state with all those buffs. Keep in mind that if you cast this properly, you can really get a ton of damage out of it, especially if you have all of your procs going off at once. At the beginning of a fight, it's huge. After that, it's mainly when can I get the most benefit out of this, okay? Your next one will be Icy Veins, which is right here. This increases your spell haste by 20%. This is awesome. You cast obviously you're casting a lot faster, you're getting a lot more damage out there. Everything's hitting harder. It's a good spell to have. The nice thing is it's on the same cooldown as Mirror Image, which is your little mages that come out with you. So what you should do is you should macro your Icy Veins with your Mirror Images and probably with your potion. I have mine with my potion, so that way at the start I'm casting one spell, I've got all my dots out, I've got all my damage ready, I can get my stuff up as quick as I can, and I'm blasting out those adds and blasting down the DPS. Those are the main cooldowns that we have for DPS. So mind yourself of when you're using those and how much uptime you can have on those. Those are key ingredients to doing really well on these fights. The next thing I want to cover is just quickly your rotation. I am going to write your rotation up here. It is going to be up here, as well as your stat priority is also going to be up here. But just to kind of quick give you a rundown on your rotation, is it's obviously a priority system like most classes are. The biggest thing that you want to do first is you want to make sure that you've got your Frost Bomb and your Frozen Orb on cooldown at all times. Okay. You also want to make sure that your target has 3 stacks of the Frostbolt buff on it, or debuff on it, so that you're doing more damage. You're doing 15% more damage. After that, you're using your Ice Lance procs and your Frostfire procs, and you're making sure that you're keeping your pets freeze on cooldown so that you're using all your procs properly. Using that strategy and using that model, obviously with working in your cooldowns, it will get you about 80 to 85% of the maximum DPS for Frost, okay? In order to get the rest of it, what you're really doing is you're playing an RNG game. Okay, so what you're doing is you're saying, do I have 2 stacks of this? Okay, well then I want to burn one of this so that I can make sure that I'm not wasting procs. There's a couple other things that may generally switch in your priority should certain things come up. Just remember what your priority is, keep into that, and the more you get used to it, the more you'll pick up on the little tips and tricks that will get your DPS a little bit higher. Some of those tips and tricks would be, when am I re-invocating? When am I making sure that all my invocations are up and ready to go? Okay, do I have that on as much as possible? Okay, am I using my DPS cooldowns at proper times? Okay, am I using Altered Time when I should? Okay, am I casting my Fingers of Frost procs when they're supposed to be? If you have one Fingers of Frost proc and your Frost Bomb's up, am I casting Fingers of Frost or am I casting Frost Bomb? Even though this one's shiny and lit up, remember our priority system. It's always the same priority system. We want to keep that up as much as possible. That's how you judge things. Don't vary from that, and you will do really well in DPS with your Frost Mage. Okay, but that's just a quick rotation rundown. Again, any other questions, you can send me a message. If you have any more in-depth questions, let me know or leave them in the comments, and I'll try to help you. I'm not saying that I'm the perfect Frost Mage. I'm not saying that I'm that great at Frost Mage, but I do know my stuff a little bit, and I will be willing to help you. Also, if you guys have any tips or suggestions for me as well, please feel free to send me a message and tell me, well, if you use this, this, and this on this fight, or in this instance, it actually does a lot more DPS. Feel free to let me know these things, guys, because anything that we can do to help each other get better, that's how my community has really been working, and I've actually really liked it. We do a ton of stuff to help each other. I really think we do a great job at that. And the last thing I wanted to go over with you before I end this video is, and it'll take me a minute to get up here, but let me do it for you anyway, is there's a website, okay, and I've been using it for a really long time. And a lot of people have been asking me for a website, okay? They've been saying, you know, how do you judge, you know, raiders that, you know, because now with account-wide achievements and everything else, how do you really tell what they've done? How do you tell if they're gemmed and enchanted properly without inspecting them and knowing what you're doing? Well, there's actually a website, guys, that shows you everything you need to know, and is probably one of the most helpful websites I've ever come across, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of the game real quick. Bam. And let's do screen region. And let's delete that. Move. And remove. And let's add screen region. There. Get this up for you. Bring me above it. Okay, guys. So what we have here is obviously this is a opening scene. wow-heroes.com. This site is absolutely awesome, and a huge shout out to these guys because this site is absolutely phenomenal. And let me kind of go through and explain to you exactly what it does, okay? For any class that you play, whether it be a druid, a frost mage, a paladin, a warlock, it doesn't matter what you're playing. This site will help you and help you a ton. So if I go to character, okay, and you can pick your zone, China, Korea, Taiwan, EU, US. You can pick your server. You can pick the name of the character. So I typed in my mage's name. I'll do a live update. I'll do a search. And this is what it gives you. Okay, it'll give you the name, your guild, your talents that you're currently using, your gear score. Okay, so my item level is 473. Your professions, your stats, and then as it goes down, it kind of gives you a gauge of what raids you should be in. If it's green to yellow, that's where you should be. If it's red to yellow, that means you're pushing progression there. And you should be, you know what I mean? Like you might want to get a little bit more gear, get it a little bit more in the yellow before you're going in here. The next part is statistics. It will go through for each tune that you look up, all the kills and how many times they killed them. The really cool thing about this is this way for alts, okay? Like let's say you have a guy that you want to raid in another raid group. Well, my main is this and this and this. Well, sure he is. What's his name? And then I want you to log on to him right now, so that way I know it's you, so that way I know it's your main, and that way I can look at all the things that your main has supposedly done, because that's what we always had to deal with is supposedly, right? Like we didn't know, or oh well, my guy's got a 700 eye level or 7,000 gear score. Well, that's great, but is it PvP gear? Do you actually have boss kills, or is it just LFR? Because a lot of times you can't tell. This site allows you to tell. And that's really cool because it kind of keeps track of your kills as well, okay? The next thing that you have is your stat priority. It will give you a basic stat priority for every class. It's really, really a nice thing. I really like it. It's an awesome, awesome tool. Don't really use this for a whole lot. Again, there's a lot better sites to help you with your reforging, but it will give you the general idea. The next thing is probably one of the most important, guys, and I can't stress it to you enough, is World of Logs. Your World of Logs rank will show up for every single rank that you have. It will show up right here. Okay, so if you want to know if a player is any good, you guys need to be doing World of Logs. Set up your own account. It doesn't matter if you're in your own guild or not. Set up your own account so you can keep track of these things, because it all downloads from World of Logs instantly to your WoW Heroes account. Okay, and then you can literally go through any of the logs that you want from any day, and just kind of see like what they've been doing lately. What kind of numbers are they pulling lately? Did they get better from week to week and fight to fight? What are their current ranks? Like this is where you can tell a lot about people. Okay. The next stage is achievements. Any of the achievements you might have. So like the Vault of Mysteries and the Guardians of Mogushan. If a guy sends you the achievement that says, oh, I'm 6 of 6, and he only has these 2 achievements and no kills, well, yeah, he's 6 of 6 LFR. He ain't never done normal raids. but you can tell all this by this site. So anytime that I'm recruiting somebody, or anytime that I have somebody who wants to join our raid team or any raid team, you guys need to be able to go in here and check this out. The next thing that it gives you is the gear. If it says dreadful everywhere down here, that probably means he's in all PvP gear, and that's why his item level is so high. The real trick is you can see if everything's gemmed and enchanted. You can see if everything's reforged. You can see if everything's enchanted properly. I mean, it's awesome. It's just a completely awesome site to help you keep track of you and to help you as a guild recruit the right players and the players that care about their account. I promise you that if a player really cares about getting into a good raid group, or really cares about progression or being the best that they can be in raids, they know about this site and they use this site, because this site literally tells all. It will tell you everything, and it gives you links to everything else. You can literally go, if you click on one of these, it'll take you to World of Blogs, and you can go through their entire World of Blogs if you want. It's up to you. But I wanted to at least show you guys this site at the end of this video, because I really think it's important that you guys know. The other kind of cool features is you can compare yourself against other players. So if I wanted to compare myself against a Method Frost Mage, or against a Blood Legion Frost Mage, or even a Paragon Frost Mage, I just type in their server, type in the name of the guy that I'm looking for, and then type me, and I can compare their gear, their stats, their ranks. I can go in and see everything that they've done, and then I can get into their World of Logs and literally see, well, how are they beating me on this site? Well, how are they casting so many more of these spells? This is how you can do it, guys, and everything's right in front of you. It's the nicest site. You can compare guilds. If you want to, bust out your EP for the guild, you can do that. See where you rank in your guild. Check with everything else. Your realm. If you want to see how you're doing in your realm, via gear score, via what are the best guys on my realm doing, what are the best guys on my realm using, what are their World of Logs. It kind of gives you a shortcut to all of those things and kind of lets you see everything at once. So I recommend checking it out, guys. It's a really, really great tool. Hope you liked the video. Like and subscribe below. We'll see you in the next one.